Starting at the bottom of the map in the red, we have our Terran player for Fnatic. He is
Fnatic Radical alive!
Trying to keep his team alive.
Yeah,
Last
that's
team
for
match.
sure.
And there he is, his opponent, starting for the Slayers team, the Blue Zerg. Here we have
Slayers Coca!
Oh man, this is actually just such a cool match that we get to watch, and it's just all the stakes are here for Fnatic.
It's the first Terran versus Zerg that we have today, and I'm really looking forward to it. I want to see exactly what those two do, exactly what the Slayers player is going to do. We've seen so many Zerg plays recently, especially by the TSL players. They love to go for a Mutalisk, and well, Hyun loves his Mutalisk, his Zerglings. We have them with those builds where they, in the middle of the game, build a lot of Banelings and try to overwhelm their opponent. We've seen really crazy builds out of them. And now we have a Slayers Zerg, and he might just approach this matchup a little bit different, might just do it in a different way. I like that he's scouting here, that he has a quick glimpse before he throws down the hatch, that he has a look if there is something proxied. It's in 99.9%, it does not accumulate anything. There is not going to be barracks or whatever. But if in a game like this, Fnatic Alive decides to go for double 11-11 right at his opponent's doorstep, then you want to know about it.
Yeah, you certainly do. This is part of playing as a pro gamer, being cautious. And it doesn't cost them that much to do it. Some people would argue, well, the chances are still low, I don't lose any time on my hatch or lose any mining time to this, but Coca has made that choice. You know, I really like that players do little things like this. Now, the SCV will come in here and see the hatch first, as well as the pool timing. This is something that Alive is counting on scouting as well. He wants to make sure he can take this natural safely like this without worrying about any sort of hyper-aggression. He is going Command Center before second depot, so a pretty quick Command Center going down there for him. And he's even cut Marines just a little bit to do this as well.
We're probably going to see a very fast third command center from Alive on this map. My question is more like, when will we see the siege tanks?
When will we see the double gas as well? You know, like when is he going to take the, you know, because there's different types of fast thirds. There's the one after Banshees, then there's the one with siege tanks where you skip Banshees entirely, where you get the third command center, then you try to get the siege node as quickly as possible so you don't die to Zerg pressure. Great scout here. Oh, and he's even going to be more annoying about this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, he takes the extractor here, forces the Marines back. Of course, you don't want just to neglect the building extractor, because at the same time what can happen is you can cancel it, can go in again, annoy your SCV. You don't want that to happen. Zerglings in the middle of the map, and there's already the early third base that we were just talking about. This is what Alive likes to do. But the Slayers player is a little bit aggressive here. He really built a lot of Zerglings early on and is moving in right now.
Yeah, he's doing this with the extractor, which I like because the Marines were a little bit occupied. And this actually allows him to rescue the drone. The drone actually escapes now. And something that we see Alive neglecting, which so many players are doing right now, is a bunker next to the ramp. There's no bunker next to the ramp, and he does not have enough Marines, actually. So he's going to take a lot of damage on his command center. Will he lose it? No! But he's taking a lot of damage here, and he lost a little bit of mining time. He could have potentially been mining with a few SCVs there.
It's just annoying as well. You have to deal with this while you're trying to macro it up. Of course, as you pointed out, the mining time that you lose, it is quite significant in these early stages of the game. And at the same time, it doesn't really cost him anything. He gets a little bit of scouting. He knows exactly how many Marines there are. He has a good idea about what his opponent is doing right now, even though he doesn't have the Overlord in the base, but with the the scout in the base. But with the Overlord, he spotted already that there's gas taken, so he knows about the timing for the two refineries. And that's all that he needs to know right now.
Yeah. Engineering Bay going down, Engineering Bay number 1. I think we will likely see 2, and we will. 2 E-Bay is going down for Alive, as well as his bunker here. Just going to use that third command center in his base for probably about a minute to a minute and a half more, just building up his SCV count, using those extra mules.
At the same time, this also means that he has late siege tanks. So siege tanks will be very late for him. He will start with his upgrades for bio. If he goes for a factory at all, we've seen some Terran players going for just a completely bio-oriented style. The thing is that this will open all the opportunities for his opponent to go for this Baneling attack that we've talked about. It's really popular early on. We don't have a Baneling thus far. but still creep already spread nicely. But what I like and what we talked about is that we don't see the Hellions this time.
Yeah, and this is actually really, I mean, I think this will become the future as well. I mean, if the Queen patch is not reverted, which I do not think it will be, then Terrans are going to have to change up their style, and they already are starting to do this. Double gas is going down the natural here, and look at this, he's actually going to spout the move out simply with his Zerling that checks the natural now. And the upgrades are way ahead for Alive right now, as the Evo chambers are very late.
That's, by the way, one thing about the patch that I would actually not mind if they would change it a little bit. I think that they made the Overlords a little bit too fast. I think it was necessary to improve speed on the Overlords so that as Zerg player you have an idea what your opponent is doing, that you have the opportunity to scout, but I think that it is a little bit too much.
I agree, and I feel that the Overlord change really caters to our new maps, because the new maps are so much bigger than they once were, and on a map like Zelna Caverns, for example, that Overlord speed makes sense, but on a map like Metropolis or Atlantis Spaceship, you know, that old speed doesn't really make sense, and even with the new speed, this Overlord isn't getting out of here, sorry.
No. That was just too much DPS. Those 4 Marines certainly gave him a beating. And now look at how many barracks Alive is actually building. He has a ton of barracks while his opponent is now going for the Banelings. And his creep spread is also, it's not the best creep spread ever, but it's really decent. It's a good creep spread, and this is so important when your opponent is using a lot of bio units, because you want this extra speed for your Zerglings. You really need it to make it work, to get the Banelings to connect with the Marines. And at this point we have 16 Marines, and with all the production buildings that he just built, he will be able to just build so many of them.
Yeah, I think that, like, with the amount of, I mean, he's doing the 4 queens, got his gas a lot faster, not doing the 6 queen build, and so for having only the 4 queens, the creep spread is actually pretty decent, and it's continuing on. I really like the infestor timing here from Coca. He's getting them very quickly, and this really means he's going to use them as a main part of his composition. It seems to me that whenever recently I watched Zerg players try to go for Mutalisks rather than infestors and really stick to the mutas, they end up losing more than half the time, and it's not even necessarily about the build order, but it seems like infestors are a build that is more solid right now. It's having more success in Korea.
I love, by the way, how Alive sets up all these bunkers. He knows that what he does without the siege tanks, that this is really vulnerable to a lot of Banelings, so he's trying to set up wall after wall, a lot of bunkers, and spreads them out. I really like this, how he's approaching it. We have a second factory coming up for him, and this will allow him to get his tech units really, really fast. He's already going for +2/+2, as is Coca. Both of them playing really cautious at this point, but I like the game that we are going to see here.
Notice as well, Cutter, that we have the third base at identical timings. The drones are transferring over to the third hatchery as the command center lands. So the third base is very delayed because of this tech, because the pathogen glands are already delayed, because he got Baneling Nest with Baneling speed already as well. So he's playing a more aggressive game here, but he may pay for it a little bit if he doesn't do any damage, because right now Alive is going to have this third base essentially for free, with Siege Mode coming out here 2-2 at a normal timing. He's looking good, and he's already starting to tear through this creep.
And this is exactly, I want to point this out again, because what a lot of, sorry guys, we have a run by into the third base, but yeah, those Marines, this is actually a discussion that I had with a lot of Terrans. This is exactly what I was talking about. Can you remember when we talked about how you can now control the creep spread? And a lot of Terran players, I had this argument with them, said it's too difficult, but well, hold on that thought, because here we go. We have Coca attacking, but nice play so far by Alive, dropping the Marines.
Yep.
But yeah, the point that I was making is, how can you deal with the creep spread right now? The Hellions have trouble against the Queen, so what can you do? You just use your first 2 medivacs, or the first medivac, and send out exactly the amount, like either the amount of Marines that you can load in 1 or 2 medivacs.
Yes,
then you kill the tumors, you can kill the Queens, you push your opponent back, and as soon as he moves in, you take advantage of the fact that the Zerg player won't have anti-air at this point.
Yeah,
so this is exactly what we were talking about a few weeks back when the patch just came into play, and this is like really, really smart. I like this.
Well, this is actually looking really scary, but it's not that scary, because there's 2 medevacs just following a medevac that aren't actually full, and this is actually really scaring Coca quite heavily. It actually is not something you should be scared about, but at the same time, because of this, he actually kind of neglected his watchtower defense, and he's trying to take advantage of this. He will get a queen, but in the end, will lose all of his Marines. Gotta be careful about that, because that actually was not the best trade. 5 queens still remain on the map, and this is a little bit fruit dealer here, how he's got these infestors at his third, but gonna lose more queens on the main base to this drop.
This is really well played. Nice multitasking here by Alive, trying to get out here before the infestor is able to fungal, and he pulls it off. Hive Tech, it's nearly halfway done, and now we have him droning up again a little bit. He just lost a few at the third, taking the fourth right now, and we are on Antigua. The fourth base is really hard to take, and this is why the drop play of Alive will shut down this expansion. At the same time, the Terran is claiming the high ground in the middle of the map.
Yep, and this is the scariest position to be in ever, where you're trying to get your hive, but the Terran is dropping you and aggressively taking control of the center. Scan goes off here. He's tearing up the creep on the right side, which means taking a fourth base at that location is going to be even harder than it was before, because it's hard to go over there to defend by ground. He's skipped Spire. That's not part of his picture here, so he's not going to be able to shut down drops that way, and that's exactly what Alive is trying to take advantage of here. And look at this, he's got control of that watchtower, he's going to shut down this Ling run by, and everything for Coca seems to be going wrong right now. He's trying his best, but Alive is just everywhere. Alive
is playing this really well. He will try to establish another base in the middle of the map, most likely with the Planetary Fortress. But of course, Coca already going for the Great Aspire here. It has been spotted by Alive, who's dropping in the main base. Once again, another attack at the bottom. The run-by attempts of Coca, they are shut down by Alive early on. He knows exactly what the Zerg player tries to accomplish here, and he is shutting him down early.
Yeah, he knows about the Hive Tech as well, so this is going to be something he's going to start preparing for very soon. 3-3 are on the way for these Marines.
He saw the Great Aspire, but nice fungal here by Coca using his second one. Those Marines not going to die, but the Terran can't... He's in a position where he's sieged up. He's on creep, he takes out creep tumors, and Coca cannot engage.
No, he cannot, not with that few Banelings. Even with those Baneling hits, he doesn't clean everything up, and now the Infestors are exposed and needs to pull them back.
We have a run by at the third at the same time, but the Infestors, they die up here with another fungal. Ling's running in at the third for Fnatic Alive, and I don't know, this does not look good for the Zerg at all. He's down 40 supply, and he will lose this third.
He will lose this third, and he has no fourth to speak of. The Corruptor's starting to take out these medevacs, but in the end, medevacs are not the damage dealers here, it's the Marines.
Oh, he might actually be able to save it right now. The Marine count is dwindling. He lost a lot of drones in order to pay for that, but nah,
not quite. It was close, but no cigar here as the third base does fall. He does have a macro hatchery in his main base, so it's going to be, he's still on 3 hatcheries, but these 5 broods that are morphing, what support does he really have for them? Not a lot, and all his opponent has to do is just continue to rally Marines across the map, and that's exactly what Alive is doing. I think he's actually going to take Coca out here.
Alive, really impressive. He doesn't slip at all. He's already preparing for his opponent's next move. +3/+3 about to finish. He has the 4th base establishing, the Planetary Fortress. It is ready. He follows it up with Thors. He is preparing for every eventuality. He didn't slip in this game once. Great play by the Fnatic player. He saw his opponent's timing for the Great Aspire, and he decides to attack right before those Brood Lords hit. This was a perfect timer, very well executed, and Alive, like, really, really impressive here.
Yep, and this is going to be the end. The Infestation Pit is gone. He's got no answer for these units anymore, and they're just streaming across the map. No production, 1 Queen and 10 Lings on the way versus 2 medevacs, 2 tanks, 12 Marines. The natural falls. He's got control of the ramp with his tanks. He's going up that ramp, in fact, and Coca is going to have to GG here, and Alive will bring the score to 4-3. GG.
Alive already going for double star power, just in case. Really well played. And he pulls it off. Another win for the Fnatic team. The score is 3-4 in favor of Slayers. Well done. Really impressive play by Alive.
Getting high fives all around. And we said Alive was the last hope. So far, so good for Fnatic, but he's got 2 more players to kill before he can claim a victory. And who are they going to be? That is the question. I think we will see MMA eventually.
But it's a really good question. Who do you send out against Alive right now? Of course, MMA will be one of the players that you are going to use.
I don't think they'll use MMA last, actually. I think if they use MMA, they're going to use him now.
And Terran versus Terran is the matchup where Alive is the most comfortable in. Yep. He really likes it. He likes the mirror match. This is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, this is tough choice.
He impressed me so much. That was so well played by Alive, and he already so knew with the build that he played that he is vulnerable to go against those Banelings. This is an attack that Terran has really been struggling with. If you have the siege tanks, you are kind of safe, but even with the siege tanks, you have to spread them out very well, and if you have none of them, then you are always in a little bit of a shaky position. But he built wall after wall with his wall in. He built the bunkers and he played it super safe. Went for the third early, got all these SCV up his work account, started with the mules, and then pushed out at the right time. As soon as he hit those two medevacs, he started to push his opponent's creep back. He did everything right here, and I was really impressed, especially by his timings.
Yeah, his timings and also his multitasking, dropping the fourth base at the top right, then continuing to scan and kill creep over there with those same units, just being everywhere at once. And I liked as well that Coco was keeping infestors at some of his bases to help shut down these drop plays as well, but we're about to find out who is going to be next. Ryung is shaking his head as if he might come out. He has been called the TVT sniper by many, but no. In fact, it is going to be Crank. Crank coming out, man. Oh, that's Mia, actually. I'm sorry. That's an embarrassing moment.
You're fine.
Thing is, like, those glasses, man, they throw me off. I'm like, well, I don't know what's really under there.
This is another Zerg player. I thought about this when Koka lost who you send out, but I'm not sure if another Zerg is the answer. Of course, it's the worst matchup for life in terms of that he doesn't like it and that he's struggling, but to be honest, how he approached the last game, well, the map played in his favor. I get it, but the thing is, he looked so strong. He looked so strong. I would be scared to send out another Zerg against him.
Yeah, I would as well. The map is going to be Whirlwind, a great Zerg choice, but the map itself may not be enough for this Terror Zerg, or Terror Terran. I'm saying everything wrong now, Counter. But yeah, I think Mia can do this, but it's a little bit of a questionable choice. I think that probably Sella and Jessica know something that we do not, and that's why they're choosing him here.
Yeah, there is definitely a reason they wouldn't choose him on a whim and not in this situation. So, well, we'll trust them that we have another great TVZ coming up here. Guys, we have another quick break, and then we are back with the GSTL Fnatic against Slayers.